This is going to be a review of different aftermarket and Insta360 quick release mounts using the Ace Pro 2 and its aluminum casing, which gives the option to mount directly to the camera base and to the side of the case for a different orientation. What I'm going to be doing is stress testing a couple of these different quick release mounts. This is the one that comes stock with the camera. It is magnetic with the 4-pronged hooks. I believe they are some sort of polymer. They're not aluminum or stainless steel. And it simply disconnects by depressing the button simultaneously on the side. The magnets help to align it. I am a skydiver, so I do put my cameras through a lot of stress. I have jumped this camera with this mount, although for precaution reasons I strapped rubber bands around the hook portion here and all the way around the camera itself. I did jump it in a chin mount configuration, which is the most amount of wind stress on the camera, and it never moved. So it's already a pretty promising attachment point, though I didn't feel comfortable doing that jump without the addition of these two rubber bands. I'll very quickly show the configuration that I used for that jump before I begin the stress test. As previously stated, the camera was mounted to my helmet in a chin mount configuration for 2 separate skydives, and I simply used retainer bands like this to ensure that the camera did not come loose. But for the stress tests that I'm planning to induce, I'll be using this float mount as simply a handle to induce vigorous shaking, both attached to the bottom of the camera itself and attached to the aluminum frame, which I have noticed does provide a slightly looser connection between the mount and the camera. So if you're in a pinch, and you have these rubber bands available, this does work. So something to keep in mind. All right, onward. All right, to establish a baseline strength using the basic quick release mount that it comes with, I have it attached to the base of the camera using this floating handle as a way to hold it. As stated, the bottom seems to be a little bit of a tighter connection than the side, so we'll test both of them. I'm leaving the aluminum frame on just for a little bit of extra weight, and I'm doing this over the couch just for obvious reasons. I think that the weakest direction is going to be this side hit, where there's the least amount of wiggle room in the system and has the greatest potential of declipping on the side. There's always a potential of breaking this clip. I'm willing to do that in this case. So I'm just going to give it a couple good smacks against the air and see what we get. All right. Nothing. I didn't hear any cracks or clicks or nothing. It seemed to hold pretty good. I was hitting pretty hard. Obviously, I'm not going to hit this against a hard surface, but strong winds. It seems to hold pretty well. Simple depress of the buttons. Okay. I don't see any damage there. I don't see any damage there. Alright, let's snap it in to the side. Again, this seems to be the looser of the two connections. Seems to be pretty solid. No damage to the teeth, and this is aluminum, so I don't think there'll be any damage there. So far, even the basic connection is pretty darn strong. Alright, so the first aftermarket mount we're going to test is the V-Rigg. It has a 4.6 stars out of 5 on Amazon and cost $22. It was delivered within 24 hours. Just like most of these, it comes as an aluminum body with aluminum hooks. Doesn't appear to be any plastic components. The little GoPro mount wings fold in and they're magnetically held. There is a screw mount for the 1/4 inch screw base. If you so choose to do that, it has a rubber shock, or I guess vibration absorbent pad here with a magnet inside. It comes with the 1/4 inch screw base, which you could screw in to that hole there, and it has the rubber grip to keep it from rotating. It does come with a little tiny tool that you can use to tighten it, and then this would attach both magnetically and physically, only in one direction though. So you got to get it lined up correctly, and then it snaps in. For our stress test, just like before, we've mounted it to our handle here. It fits in just perfectly, and we're going to attach the camera to the base just like so. Alright, we've got the V-Rigg attached, and it uses magnetic alignment, so it only does seem to want to attach in one direction. I did notice a little bit of wiggle in the connection here due to the fact that those two prongs are hinged, but it seems to have a pretty solid connection. You just got to make sure it's pressed all the way in. It's a very tight connection with the rubber absorption. So let's go to the couch and test it out. Alright, back at the couch. We've got it attached. Let's start shaking. Feels extremely solid. I mean, that thing feels... I don't think any amount of wind is going to knock that off. Disconnecting. I don't know if I can get my finger in there to do it, but you press up on those two. You press them up and it disconnects very easily. Connecting to the side. Again, there's a little bit of wiggle, but I noticed that with the stock mount as well. You can actually hear the shaking. That seems pretty solid. Oh, we did get disconnection. Hey, there we go. Okay, that's something. All right, let's take a look. Is there damage to... It looks like there could be the tiniest bit of distortion in that top hole there. Looking at it with the naked eye, it does appear to be bent slightly. Let's take a look at the prongs. They don't appear to be damaged. Oh, wait. There you go, folks. It broke. Right there. And that's why we do this. It looks as though it took a little bit of damage on that side piece. Now let's look at the base here. The base looks perfectly intact. Alright, well, that's data. V-Rigg, prongs under stress of contact. It will break. Back to Amazon you go. After double checking, that particular hole is the one hole that the broken tooth was in. So it does seem as though it did cause a little bit of deformation to the aluminum body on the case. So we'll just have to keep that in mind going forward. Perhaps I will use the provided screw mount base as an intermediary point of attachment for this side, since this may not be compromised. Okay, this next mount is the Ulanzi, I guess is how you say it. It was about $22, so it's very similar to the V-Rigg. It just doesn't come with the screw mount. So we're going to get it set up, and we're going to test it, and I would suspect that it is similar in strength and capability. Alright, let's take a look. Now, just like before, I've attached it to the bottom. We're going to give it some real good shakes, both directions. It feels super solid. Give it some smacks. That feels really good, actually. Alright, so when we attach it to the side, we're going to use the plate that was included with the V-Rigg, since these appear to be the same manufactured company, and we've already caused damage to the side mount. This bottom mount feels super solid, though. Alright, we're going to see how it does. We're not really testing the mounting surface, we're testing the actual bracket. So let's take a look. Alright, and again it has magnetic alignment. We're going to push it in. Really good, solid. Again, this is the V-Rigg screw mount base with the Ulanzi, as I assume that's how you say it. Super solid. Again, it appears to be the exact same build as the last one, but the teeth aren't breaking, so that's good. Alright, not bad. I don't think any amount of force is going to really knock it loose under these circumstances. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, these next two were sold as two different brands, but as you can see, they're both something called a Magism, something to that effect. One of them was 20. One of them had a different brand name, but if you look closely at the photos, you can see that it's the same stamp as this one. So I'm going to test them both. They have what appear to be aluminum bodies and teeth. Again, they appear to be magnetically use magnets. Have a 3/4 inch screw hole in the bottom. The wings that fold out are magnetic, and the teeth depress by simply pushing in, and there's a rubberized portion here for grip. Let's move on to the first test. We'll see how it does. Okay, for the first test, we have it mounted to the bottom of the camera, just like before. Super solid connection in all directions. Give it some smacks. Doesn't seem to come loose at all. We're going to mount it to the side plate, which is still the V-Rigg, as previously stated, because the other one caused some damage. So we're going to use this as our mounting platform for the side mount. I will note that because of the buttons the way they are with the frame, it is a little difficult to get to them. But mounting to the side, very easy with the magnetic alignment, just like all the other ones. Oop, let's make sure it is secured. Feels very solid, but just like kind of all the other ones, a little bit of looseness just because of the, I'm not sure, I guess it's the frame, the camera wiggling in the frame. but I can't knock it loose, and I don't think the wind would knock it loose either. But let's press the buttons. Disconnects. All right, we're going to do the exact same test with the other one, because why not? Okay, we have the other mount on here now. We're going to let it align itself automatically and begin our checks. Again, I am hitting this extremely hard, trying to knock it loose. Nothing. Disconnect. Reconnect. Nothing. Press the buttons. Not a bad deal for the price. And I believe this one came with some kind of extra magnetic pad. Maybe that was the one that was $1 more. I don't know. All right, moving on to the next one. So, make your choices wisely. Okay, so this one was about $20. I guess it's called Posy. I have no idea. Posy. It comes with a screw base as well. And it has a very, very strong build to it. Magnetic winglets. It has the screw mount on the bottom. It has a magnetic and rubber pad on the top, though it's only in the middle. It has the little teeth. Sort of similar design to the Insta360 branded mount, except for the lock and the wings don't have grip. So we're going to mount it and see how it goes. Alright, here we go. Once again, we have magnetic alignment, though it's not as good as some of the other ones. So that doesn't want to align. Let's flip it over and try it this way. Let me check something. Alright, so interesting fact here. This base is a little too big to fit through the hole that is in the frame. So to attach it to the camera base itself, you have to take the frame off. But once the frame is off, it attaches just fine. Again, using the magnetic alignment. So let's see how it does in the stress test. Alright, here we go. Oh, something. Oh, my lens popped off. Okay, well, that's not anything to do with the camera mount. It does have a little looseness to it. And it is not, it doesn't feel like it's here. It feels like it's in the connection up here. Okay. Let's put the lens cover back on and then attach it to the frame itself. And I'm going to double check to make sure this screw is tight. Well, I hope the fact that the lens cover came off is a proof to the fact that I am not being gentle with this. It does appear that the little bit of wiggle I was experiencing was right here in these wings, and upon really closely inspecting them, it does look like one wing is slightly longer than the other. It's not aligned very well, and it looks like the camera is tilted, and that is due to these little wings. But we've went ahead and attached the quick release mount to the base that it does come with. This screw base does come with it. We're attached to the frame, and we're going to stress test it. First, the shakes, and then the smacks. A little bit of wiggle, but I can't get it to break loose. Let's press the buttons. Comes right off. Check the teeth. Pretty good. Base. Looks fine. All right. On to the final mounting system, which is, of course, the branded Insta360 quick release mount Gen 1. I am on a wait list to get the Gen 2, which is the more recommended for extreme sports. So, onward. Okay, on to the Insta360 branded quick release, which does include, of course, our quick release, and it does have a locking system, which means once you attach it, you can switch it to lock. And when you depress the release buttons, they don't move until you unlock it, at which point they then do release. All right, the base, the wings are magnetic, and they have some grooves in it for extra friction. They're very sturdy feeling. Of course, anything coming from Insta360 is going to have a great feel to it. We have the rubberized base with magnetic alignment. It does come with extra rubber pads. And of course, the screw base mount. And then this one as well. It also does come with a tool to manipulate the screw here. I'm not going to pull that out because I have another one. So let's go ahead and get this one set up with the camera and give it a test. All right, so here we are back at the couch. I forgot to say it earlier. This quick release is $40 on Amazon. That does have a Gen 2 version where the locking switch is vertical instead of horizontal. Now, as you can see, the locking switch is blocked by the frame in the camera. So, leaving the frame on, I can't really lock it easily. And I think for this test, because all the lock does is prevent the button from being depressed, is... Oh, there's my dog. Buddy, you need to move. Come here. Down. Down. And there's my other dog. That's Bullet, and that's Valkyrie. Bullet, down. Thank you, sir. I think I'm going to leave it unlocked just to check and make sure that even in an unlocked situation, it's going to be strong. So, without further ado, let us begin the earthquake test. All right, now pushing the buttons might be a little difficult because of the frame. They do not just simply depress. All right, I'll see you back in a second. So it turns out that I was pushing the buttons, but the magnet was actually holding it and not letting it go. So we're now attached to the provided screw mount, which obviously we can now easily manipulate the lock, but we're going to leave it unlocked. Really strong. Let's press the buttons, the release buttons. Let's see if it falls off on its own. There it goes. All right. I would say overall, quite a few good options. I have not had a chance to get my hands on the Gen 2 version of the Insta360 branded quick release mount. I am on a wait list to get it, but the big difference between this one and all the others is that right there. I would say that for the most part, the other mounts are similar. I think the springs in these buttons are probably the strongest, and the magnet underneath the pad, excuse my crummy ass fingers, might be the strongest as well. At least far as the base mount goes, which was I couldn't depress the buttons and get the camera to fall off. There it goes. I have to shake it. So very strong magnet. The springs on the hooks are better, I would say, than most of the other ones. And of course, you have a lock. So, you know, why wouldn't you spend the extra little bit of money to protect your very, very expensive camera? All right, I hope this review helped. And see ya.